Hello, hello, hello. Happy Sunday. Welcome again to Big Girl Talk. I'm Christine.
I am
How
Jamila.
y'all doing today? Today is going to be an excellent show. We got another guest.
Oh yes, oh
Yes, yes,
yes, oh
yes.
yes. Today we are rocking with the none other than the author, the publisher, the actress, the single life coach, facilitator, and the list can go on and on, y'all.
On
But
and
we
on and
rocking
on.
with the fabulous Miss
Brandy
Brandy Hunt
Hunt.
today.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much.
Welcome,
What's
welcome.
going on, Brandy? How you doing?
I am good. We actually just had a show last night, so if my eyes look a little heavy, that's I've been
Look
doing
All
my
good.
right, that show
activities.
You
but you
look
look
good, girl.
good. You
Well,
look
thank you. It's what you do when it's showtime. You show up
right.
and you give it your all.
That's right.
Absolutely,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
How did it go for you last night?
Oh, it was phenomenal. We had a wonderful turnout. Room was packed. The people enjoyed it. Can't ask for nothing else.
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
I'm glad. I hate
Good.
that we didn't get to attend. We know you're in South Carolina. Tell just you want to give a little brief, little something about what you got going on with the show.
Oh, sure. It's called "Don't Make Me Over." And it is directed and produced by Utrina Kershaw, and she's right here in Spartanburg. But we are traveling, so we plan to do 34 more shows. It's our 35th, 35-year anniversary, and so in honor of that, we are going to do 35 shows throughout the United States. So if you want us to come to you with a gospel stage play that is heartwarming, it's singing, it's a few tears might be shed, it's funny, it's all around it's a family gospel stage play, so you can bring children. It's no nothing like that. We want everybody to come with come with expectation. Even you might find Jesus. You will.
Right. Oh, hello.
um,
Hello.
you will find you. I'm gonna just tell you, you will find, your relationship with God to be much stronger, after, watching the scenes and stuff like that. So, yes, if you want us to come to you, hit me up in my inbox and we will be there.
Awesome
Yes,
sauce. It
that's
sounds like a great
great.
show.
I know that's your thing. You love stage as well as everything else you're doing. So I know you're glad to
Hmm.
be back on stage right
Yes,
now.
ma'am. Absolutely.
Yes, that's awesome. So of course, we were talking earlier, and the flyer actually depicts that you are a publisher.
Hmm.
We're talking earlier about you being an author. You were talking about being an actress. So what thrives you? What do you love the most about what you have going on? What do you have under your belt right now?
Mm.
What do I love the most?
Yes.
I think I love the most that I'm where I dreamed of years ago. So I think I just love the most that I'm no longer wishing and wanting, and it's somewhere far. It's tangible. As you know, because you were in my life coaching class, I'm a full-time entrepreneur. I remember sitting in a call center for not the same call center, but a call center environment for 20 years, writing my books while I was at work. On my lunch break doing Facebook Live. I remember just sitting in my car like, one day this is gonna all be over, and I'm gonna get to live the entrepreneur's dream. Now, I just want to say that it's not quite the dream that I had sitting in my car, where I had all the money in the bank that I needed to execute every single dream. But I will say that the most enjoyable part is, one, I get to help people that I want to help, and not that the people calling into call centers weren't people that I wanted to help. However, being an actress, I've been an actress since I was a child. So,
Mhm.
um, but being able to be an actress with people that I love and trust, and being able to go on these different stages, and that my gifts are actually they've materialized, and I'm sure God is going to continue to develop them. I think the best place that I thrive in is knowing that my gifts are being used for good, and I live what I used to dream about.
Awesome. That's
Thank you,
awesome.
thank you.
Okay. So nothing, no one thing sticks out for you. You enjoy everything that you're doing because this is what you wanted to do. All the things that you have under your belt. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
the only thing that's missing is I would like to write from the beach.
Okay. Okay. You're stepping into my game, but okay.
I would like to, I mean, and of course, life is progressive. So, of course, this which used to be a dream has now realized, come to fruition. And so I know that one day I will get to have my house on the beach. I'm going to have two houses.
Come
And
on now.
Now,
so one of them will be in a warm city because I do not like winter.
Mm.
And so it's going to be where I can walk out on my patio and journal or, drink my drink of choice for the day and actually assist my clients from my house on the beach.
Come on, patio.
okay. Yes, I'm with it. I'm with it all. So we'll talk more or dive more into that beach experience a little later on because I got some stuff to talk about surrounding that
I know
anyway.
that's right.
So
Oh, well,
yeah,
amen.
we're gonna put a pin in that right there.
Okay.
We'll talk about it. So how did you said you've been an actress since you were younger. You knew that you were born to be on that stage. When did you come to realize um, that your story was significant enough that you wanted to put it out there, or you wanted to not just being an actress, your story was significant enough that you wanted to put it on something for somebody to read, somebody to
Mm.
have an experience from what you had going on.
Well, Jamila, it wasn't quite like that. I didn't want to tell my story, which is what
Mm.
Okay.
most people know. Like, if I tell my story, I'm going to be judged. I'm going to be ridiculed. I'm going to feel shame. Even if no one says anything, we have this voice in our head that says, nobody wants to hear that. Why do you matter? All of those things. And then we have this horrible comparison to others. Well, she looks like this and he looks like that. And we have these
Mhm.
societal
Oh, yes.
standards that we are fighting against. And so let me take you back to how I ended up doing it against my own will. um, so
Force.
many, many moons ago, because I know I look 29, but I am 43 years old.
Come
When I
on,
turned,
43.
Now.
thank you.
Come on, hair flip.
Uh, So about around age of 31, 32, I had a dream and I was in a library and it was full of books. And I looked around and I was like, whose books are these? And I heard a voice say, they're yours. And I was like, oh, I must live in a mansion because it looked like the Library of Congress. And I
Mm.
was like, oh, okay. And I just kept walking and it was just full of books. And I'm an avid reader. So let me say, I love reading. I love writing. Even as a child, I wrote screenplays for fun. I read the dictionary for punishment. So I have all kinds of words in my head that just want to come out sometimes.
Oh
Good
wow.
words. And so that the books to me was just like, oh, I get to have a mansion with a lot of books in it. And when I woke up, I said it audibly, like sitting on the edge of my bed. I was like, whose books were those? And I heard the Holy Spirit say, they're yours. You wrote them.
My goodness.
Say what? I had never written a book. I had written poetry. I had
Mhm.
written plays. I had written a movie. I had written all kinds of things, but I had not ever written a book. And I just sat there like, that was a lot of books, God.
Mhm.
Um, but I was also at the point in my life where I had already, I'm not going to say I was running from God necessarily, but I knew that if I didn't say yes, I would continue to do like the hamster wheel in life. And I
Mhm.
felt like God was, and I had just come out, let me just say about 2 years prior to that, I had just come out of a bad marriage.
Mhm.
Okay.
So when I heard write a book, and excuse me, I was still in the end of the marriage. And so I said, well, I'll write a book about marriage because I've learned so much and I can, extend that to the people.
Right.
About a month after, oh yeah, about a month after I had the dream, I was at a dance conference because I also put dancer on my list too. So
Dancer.
Okay. Got
uh,
Okay.
it. Got it.
I was at a praise
Yeah.
dance conference, and the lady had written a book about praise dance, and I was like, oh, how cool! Like you used to see in books about novels and stuff like that. And so I was going to go over to her and ask her, can you teach me? Well, lo and behold, she was having a class and she was, passing out her flyers and stuff. And it was a no brainer, except I didn't have any money.
Mm-hmm.
But I had already told God yes. And if y'all don't think church has already started for the people who are listening, because they already know it, when I get going, I'm going, I'm gone. And so I
We
said,
gonna talk about how good he is
Come
now.
on
yeah,
now.
we're gonna talk about how good. I said, okay, God, I don't have the money. The class was $900, $1,000, something like that. At the time my daughter was 13, I did not think I could pay the additional money that was gonna have to come out to do this book. But when you tell God yes, just buckle up and understand that He's gonna get you to the other side. And
Okay.
so I took her information, I went home and I prayed about it, and I used what little money I had to make the deposit, and that's how I actually got started. When I started, the book was going to be called "Lord, Please Help My Husband, but Use Me to Do It," and it was going to be a book on prayer for your husband, so helping my husband by praying for him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I went to Fayetteville, North Carolina. I'm from South Carolina, by the way. For those who are watching in Greenville, South Carolina, just to give you a quick spin of my life, I lost my father at an early age. We grew up in Fayetteville, North Carolina. We went to a women's conference in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and when I got there, it was my mom, my sister, and the whole church. It was their whole church. But when we got there was this flood of emotions that I was 12 when we left there. I was 13 when my father passed away. I was 11 when we left there. I was 13 when my father passed away. But this flood of emotions came, and I could not quite understand, why am I feeling something that happened 20 years ago. It was like a dark, depressing cloud. Then my mom, she's adding in, oh, we used to eat there. And, just like I thought, oh, well, maybe these are just, like nostalgia. It's just like, oh man, I'm old
Mm-hmm.
now. And so got to the women's conference. Fast forward through the conference, the lady looks at me and says, God said, do what He told you to do the first time. That's all you got.
Right.
Of all the prophecies, that's it. That's all I get. And
Right.
so she must have saw the befuddlement on my face and said, "Oh, He said, clean out your closet. That's all I get." You know what, lady? Thank you. Go to the
Right. Come on, don't even worry about it.
go
Appreciate
to the next person. So conference over. We get home, but I told God yes. So guess what's getting ready to happen? We getting ready to clean out this closet because I don't understand the first part, but I always encourage people, if someone says something to you, you hear something in the spirit, hey, you hear something in your own brain, write it down. It could make sense later. Everything
it.
don't have to make sense right now. And I think in this society, we want everything to be puzzled together on Monday morning at 9 a.m., no later than
Mm-hmm.
9:30. And that's
Right.
just not how God works. And so I wrote it down, but I understood part two. Clean out your closet. I'm not here to judge y'all because I don't know what your closet looked like, but my closet was a mess. It was a
Mm.
wreck. But I said, okay. I opened the closet door and instantly I had anxiety. I was like,
Mhm.
I don't want to do this. And I started digging through things and started finding things from like my boyfriend, ex-boyfriends and ex-husbands and just all the nonsense. And I said, I don't want to deal with this no more. And the title dropped back in my spirit. And I say, back in my spirit, it's called Dealing with the Hand I Was Dealt. I said, I don't want to deal with this. I didn't want to dig through that stuff because I was having to readdress emotions that I thought I didn't let the man go. I didn't let the situation go. So why do I still feel anger
Mm-hmm.
or sadness or whatever it is that I'm facing? And I'm closing the closet door. Now, didn't I say I was telling God yes? But come on, God, this is a deeper yes than I thought I was going
Right.
to have to give. Come on now, church.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I
No,
said,
that's right.
and God reminded me that 10 years prior to that, so somewhere around 22, 23, he had gave me Dealing with the Hand I Was Dealt, and I thought it was going to be a movie because that's what I wrote at the time, movies and plays. Not that it still won't be, but he said, Dealing with the Hand I Was Dealt, go back and write that book, and then all the other books will come. And now
Mm.
that I've been, this is my 10-year anniversary. So to short answer your question, the reason why I decided that's a long version for people who like entertainment. But to short answer your question, why did I tell my story? I now know why I told it was because there were millions of women and men who dealt with childhood trauma and adulthood trauma, but childhood trauma that followed them into their adult life, and they couldn't quite understand why they still feeling these emotions. They couldn't quite understand how can I really let it go. They couldn't quite understand how to face the shame of the church or whoever you feel shame towards. And so that's why I told God yes, and that's why I continue to tell God yes, because every time I've told God yes, He's never let me down.
So with all that, with the story and everything else, what would you feel or what would you advise us would be the monumental struggle of just basically saying yes and writing your first book or literature or anything like that? Like, what was that moment when you was like, you know what, let me just go ahead and do it, other than the like the prophecy of what you just advised?
The dream.
The dream.
those
Okay.
those two things pretty much went together. The lady had just told me, I mean, I had just had the dream like 2 or 3 months prior that I was going to
Okay.
have a library full of books. Well, I might as well go ahead and get started because
Mm.
it was a lot of books in there.
Yeah.
um, and I was also, I think we come to a breaking point where we're like, I'm gonna do this time. Maybe you've had that idea, years pass, and you're like, oh, it's not a good time, it's not a good time, it's not a good time. I could promise you that there's a good time, and there's maybe not the greatest time, but go ahead and do it anyway.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that there's a perfect time. I do think that timing is everything, but I think sometimes we give ourselves so many excuses, and time is one of them. But time can't be our excuse, because you literally, that's what you won't have. You can get $1 again,
No, no.
you can get an
Can't get
extra
time
hour
back.
of sleep at some point, maybe, but you
Right.
will not get time back again. And so, even if you just write one page, and this is some other advice I give people: write it as if Steve Harvey or Oprah or someone who you look up to, because they don't look up to me. I'm just a low on the totem pole when I tell them to tell their story. But let's just pretend like someone told you, if you have this done in 30 days, I'll give you $10,000 and you can come tell your story on my couch. Would you
Mm-hmm.
have it? Would you have it done then? Of course,
Definitely.
Hmm.
because
Definitely.
there's a reward attached to it. Well, what I understood was that when I finish this, God is going to elevate me to places that I've never been before. He had already told me that when I was in the domestic violence shelter. So let me go back to when I was in the domestic violence shelter, sitting under the gazebo, because it wasn't the beach, but it was going to be close enough.
Hmm.
Crying my woes away. And I heard God tell me, one day you're going to tell your story around the world. What story? I ain't got no story to tell. Nobody wants to hear this. So 2 years later, he tells me, write the story.
Mm-hmm.
This one, no.
Mm.
So you
This
can't
one.
write a book called Dealing with the Hand I Was Dealt and not deal with the hand you were dealt.
You're right.
Right.
It just doesn't work
Absolutely.
that way. And so as I process, I'm getting ready to be an author, like a
Mm-hmm.
show enough author. Um, People gonna hear, and he I put the juice in there. I don't know if y'all read it yet.
Not
Not
yet.
yet.
No.
Shame on y'all.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
because weren't y'all living here when I came out with that book?
Um,
Were y'all still here?
Probably. We've
I
been
don't
here
think
about 10
about
years.
10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Almost
All
11.
right. Well, maybe I bring one with me when I come down.
Please.
But basically, the puzzle pieces begin to come together in your life. And I remember him saying in the gazebo, you're going to tell your story. Okay, here's the story you're going to tell, and this is what you're going to tell. God is not confused about his purpose in our life. We're the ones that be like, oh, me? You sure? Yes,
Mhm.
Hmm.
you're sure that you heard it. What you're not sure about is the outcome.
It's
You're
Right.
right.
like, oh, but what if, what if, but what if? And we have all these what ifs that are typically negative because we're never like, well, if I finish, Steve Harvey gonna call me, right? If I finish, what we'll say is if I finish, I'm gonna be, slaughtered. Was I slaughtered? Absolutely. Did
Yep.
people talk about me? Absolutely. But
Attacked and everything else.
by the time I got to the end, it was well with my soul because whatever's happened has happened. I tried to tell the story in the softest way possible without anger
Hmm.
or without sounding bitter. I'm just telling the story like our good friend Risa Tisa.
Mhm.
I'm
Jesus.
just telling the story. And I was so baffled at the amount of people who were like, I should tell my story. I need to write a book. I have been telling y'all this for 10 whole years. Turn the camera on and tell the story. That's all you
Mhm.
got to do.
Hmm.
Well, Brandy, what are they going to? It doesn't matter. What is they going to say? But what are the people going to say who needed you?
Right.
There's somebody who's waiting to hear that I can make it out. That's all I need to hear. I just need to hear. You mean to tell me that one day I'm going to stop crying every day over this man who was really garbage? That's what you're telling me? Yes, I'm telling you that one day it's not going to hurt as bad. So, the scripture that I love is, I want to make sure I quote it right for the saints.
Come on now.
I
You
just
already know.
hang right on here.
On your heels.
Welcome in, welcome in again. We're here on
It
Big Girls
says,
Live on Facebook. So if y'all want to come on this side, we're live with Miss Brandy Hunt here. We're talking about the art of storytelling. If you're joining us on IG, you can just chill here. If you're joining us on Facebook, you can go over to Big Girl Talk. Continue.
Thank you.
it says, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto death. And that is Revelation 12 and 11. Revelations 12 and 11. And that unto death part used to scare me because I was like, well, I do like my life, and I understand that we shouldn't love it so much that we just, don't want to die. However, not today. I still got some stuff to do. But what the Holy Spirit was showing me was that we can't love our life so much that we want to box ourselves away into our old life because that's what we're comfortable with. I'm
Hmm.
okay to dying to that version of me.
Mhm.
I'm okay with whatever version of me y'all met or knew. Some of that still exists, so don't try me. However, most of it
Still working on it.
Listen.
most of it does not exist because a lot of who I was birthed out of pain, anger, sadness. I lost my dad when I was 13. Why wouldn't I be sad? There's so
Right.
many people in this world that you be thinking, you really never been through nothing, have you? Well, why they act like that? Well, why they sleeping with them? Well, why they going over there? Well, why did they run away? You might want to find out instead of
Come on
judging
now.
them.
Exactly.
You might want to actually find out in love and not in gossip. And so I told the story, and I tell all the stories, and I became a coach and all of that stuff because God continued to expand my territory because I asked to be like Jabez when he said, enlarge my territory. And
Mhm.
so he did. And,
Mhm.
and so you cannot turn around then and go, but I didn't want that territory, but that's the one that's yours. Go get the one that has your name on it, because a lot of people are trying to do other things. Well, I'm gonna be a content creator, and God called you to be a coach, which you can be a content creator, being a coach, but you got to do the coaching part too. I'm gonna be
Mhm.
a construction worker, and God called you to be a pastor.
Mm-hmm.
Be on the territory that God called you to be on, and it will forever be expanding, because as we take over territory, that means I've taken over the territory for authors. Amen. I'm the GOAT. Anybody that wants to get a book published, you come through me. I got you. I've been in this industry for 10 years. Do I know everything? Absolutely not. But have I covered territory? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the publishing part of it, the publishing process.
Mhm.
What should people expect about the time span of a publishing process?
Um, I think the biggest thing for expectation is the quicker you write, the quicker it can get done. That's number one. So some people come unfinished, meaning they want me to look at the manuscript. They're like, "Hey, can you look at this and tell me what you think?" Sure, I could do that. And then when I send it back to you and tell you what I thought, if you take 4 more months, we're gonna be, on down into the year. I can finish my part in 4 to 6 months, depending on how good of a writer you are. And I
Mm-hmm.
say that not to say anyone is a bad writer. Your story is great, but editing is what it is. I'm the editor, and if I have to go in and chop and screw a lot of stuff, it's going to take me a longer time. If you did a great job writing it, I can understand it. It flows well, then we're on the lesser side at the 4 month mark, because there's other things we have to do in that time frame. I will say timing is everything, and life happens on both ends. I've had clients who like, here's my money, but I'm not going to be ready till next year. Okay, your money's always good with me. um and so, and opposite, I had a toothache like a month ago, knocked me out the game for like 2 weeks. So one of the things I tell people is that I'm not a Simon and Schuster. I don't have 100 people working for me, round the clock.
Right.
So what I do tell people is that I work with in your book with love, and things that take time. There's a lot of love put into it. I won't rush through it. If you do need me to rush through it, I'm going to give you a rush fee, and that's fine. People pay it all the time. I'm telling 4 to 6 months, and they're like, "Can you do it faster?" I'm like, "Let me look at it and see. If I have to move things around, I can. But when people pay, I can do that." So
Okay.
that's what I would
So
say
let me
about.
ask you this: with editing, I'm sorry, with editing, have you ever had to like turn away a project because it just wasn't like they've written something, but it wasn't good enough, or had you ever had to turn away something like that you could not turn around?
No. If you've written anything, I can we together can get it to a better standard. So if I had somebody send me 20 pages, you actually have to be 24 pages to be an author. However, they were telling their life story. Your life
Hmm.
story in 20 pages?
Oh, wait.
But
Wait.
I bet it was no details. It was just
20 pages?
you
It
can't.
wasn't. It wasn't,
It
friend.
was no. It was no
That was
details.
very surface.
It
Very
was
much
very
so.
surface level. So I went through the document. I asked the necessary questions to pull out the answers that need to be put in there. Then once they were done, I also ghostwrite. So I actually don't need any words. I just need you to tell me the story, and then I could type it out. I try not to turn people away, especially when people say, "God told me to use you," and then they send the 20 pages. That's hard to do. What I tell them is, "Okay, let's work this thing out together.
Make it enough.
We're going," and I think they ended up with 100 pages, because sometimes that first, let me just get it out real quick because I
Yeah.
feel it right here and I want it off my chest. There's so many emotions that go with telling your own story. That's not the only kind of book you can write. You can write leadership books, you write cookbook, whatever you want to write. But when you're
Mhm.
writing your testimony, the constant feeling of what you used to feel can be very draining. Me and Jamila went through this. I would tell
Mhm.
her, "This is going to be hard. Let's take a minute to digest it and come back to it." And she'd be like, "All right, I'm gonna do it. And then some days she'd be like, I just push through it. And that's totally up to the person. But I don't want any people used to quit on me and be like, I can't do it. I tried
Yeah.
to write the chapter about losing my mom or dad or my baby, whatever loss they're talking about, and they would just shut down. And that's actually what caused me to become a life coach, because I wanted to be able to help people, identify their pain on a deeper level, and to have solutions to not just deal with it, but to actually overcome it, not to get over it. Because I don't think that's a thing. I don't think you should get over someone that you love with your
Sure.
deepest heart, right? But you should know how to navigate life so that you don't freeze and lay in the bed for 7 days, because
Right.
that's not healthy. And so I needed to be able to find a balance between publishing and coaching. And then now I'm also a student, a behavioral and mental health student. I'll have a
Okay.
this time next year.
That is so
That
awesome.
is.
That is awesome. So, what do you? I know we've hit a little bit of it, but in the beginning process of trying to get your story out, what do you recommend be the first step? As far as, do you recommend them doing a little bit of meditation, or just really figuring out where they want to start? Where do they start in the first beginning?
Yes. So I would say three things in the beginning. One, pray to whoever you pray to. Now, again, we declare Jesus to be God. However, if that is not your God, pray to whoever it is that you believe is telling this story through you, because that is what we're doing. I'm not just telling, I didn't have to tell my story. God could have just made me somebody else that didn't have a story. Okay.
Mhm.
So he made me this person. I wouldn't even be who I am without having gone through the relationships, losing my father, all the things. So I don't turn around and go, oh my God, I had the worst, horrible husband in America. No, I tell you what happened, how we collided, and how we ended up, separating so that we did not hurt each other any further. I think we speak so much in a victim mentality that we never talk about the victory. I would not be an author had I not had a story to tell. So thank y'all for
Right.
having me, being able to tell the story of my life. But the first thing I would say is pray. Number two, create a schedule. That's going to hurt some people. Create
Hmm.
a schedule where
I
you
struggle with
write
it.
every day for 1 hour. I did not have a television when I wrote my book. I took my TV out of my house and put it in a storage building.
Hmm.
In the
I struggle with the
description,
whole
you come
scheduling
over to the
thing
video
because, of
top.
course, I have a lot of hands in a lot of stuff. So
Yes.
that's something that I have to be very, very strict on myself, because I have a lot of phones, laptops, things to write, things to do, and so I cannot stick to a schedule.
And working a regular job
And yeah,
on
and
top
working
of
a
all
regular
of that.
job. Yeah.
Yeah.
I worked a regular job when I wrote my book. I also had a 12-year-old
Hmm.
and a crazy boyfriend. What I'm telling you is that it can be done, but it
Hmm.
will take a major sacrifice on your part. You have to schedule it. Do you go to the doctor?
Hmm.
Mhm.
Do you miss your doctor's appointment?
Try not to.
Then schedule it just like you schedule. And if you can't do an hour every day, do an hour once a week.
Okay.
It's it. But remember, if Steve Harvey called you, you find that time somewhere.
Right.
That's true. That is
So
definitely
you
You're
have
true.
to
right.
believe that our brains are reward centered. So you have to give yourself a reward, but ask God what it's going to be. I remember I was crying so hard when I was Christmas time when I was writing, and I was drained. I was like, this is so hard. And I remember God saying, I'll return your tears to you. I don't really want them back, God. Thanks. And the the very first testimony that came in, she said, "Thank you for telling your story." I cried all the way through it while I was packing my bags, leaving my abusive marriage.
Hmm.
That's the reward. The reward is not I love the money. That's great. I do make money off of it. But when and God said, I told you I'll return your tears to you. And that's what he meant. Every
Mm,
time somebody reads my any books that I have or takes any of my classes or anything, the reward is that they were overcome by the blood of the lamb and the word of my testimony, that I thought I didn't need to tell anybody. But that's Jesus uses, we're his hands and feet and mouth. And so if
Mhm.
we don't tell the story, what if you're holding up my blessing and my breakthrough because you won't tell the story?
right,
Because I need to hear it from you. No one else can tell me. It has to come from you.
right.
That's true.
That is true.
Okay.
Okay. And your third and final thing?
Oh, yeah, the third. Thank you for keeping me on task, coach. I taught her that, so thank you. So the third thing would be pick a topic. Pick your topic and stay on time. Unless again, the whole remember I had to pick my topic, and then God was like, "Hey, alley oop, we're going with a different one." But pick
Mm-hmm.
your topic and sub for the next part. So 3.1 is going to be, what are you going to talk about inside of this topic?
Mm-hmm.
So my topic was childhood trauma, but now and leading into adult trauma. So what events am I going to talk about? I can't talk about all the events. I
Mhm.
I mean, I could have, but nobody wants that much. Um, I gave enough to show where the pain of my life came from. And if you need help, that's something that I help with also. I always tell people I can take you from manuscript development, which is blank page, all the way through branding and marketing. So if you just got an idea, we can sit down and talk about it and be like, okay, this is the idea. Did we do that, Jamila? I know
Mm-hmm.
you. I knew you knew pretty much like what you were going to talk about, but we
Mm-hmm.
kind of outlined it, and then I sent you back the outline. Is that how that went?
Yep, that's
Yep.
how it went.
So whatever you need, and let's just say you're like, I know I'm supposed to write a book, but I'm scared. Call me anyway, because I
Mm-hmm.
think that sometimes we just need one more person to say, if don't nobody else believe in you, I believe in you.
Exactly.
Mhm.
It is totally free. You don't owe me a thing. And if you go, people go publish with other people because that's fine. Like there's literally enough. I don't, there's not enough publishers for all the books that should be written, because the Bible actually tells us that we should write all the words that God gave us on a scroll, which are now books. So if it's in the Bible, y'all, you looked at me like, "Hi, Madison." Um, I got it for you because I knew somebody would look at me crazy. It's Isaiah 30:8. It says, "Go now, write it on a tablet for them, inscribe it in a scroll for the days to come. It may be an everlasting witness." My book will always be an everlasting witness to me overcoming all the crazy trials of life. And that's stopped in 2000 and what year was that? 2010, 11. Wait for the next 10 years.
Okay.
Oh, it gets juicier and juicier. Um,
Okay.
it's a witness for the days to come. Your children and your grandchildren will be able to look back and be like, wow, look at my grandma, my grandpa. Look what they did. Look what they overcame. Because where do we get our stories from? The Maya Angelos and the Martin Luther Kings. We can look at their overcoming stories, right? But what's going to be left for these kids?
Right.
Who coming? Who do we have?
Right.
Mm-mm-mm. It's
So
gonna be
we're it. Tag. We're it.
we're it.
Mm.
Talk about it.
My daughter will be able to go on the internet and find any book about me, my life, videos of how, mommy, how do I, if I left today, she could go online and put in leadership development, and I can tell her how to be a leader.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell her how to overcome. I might not be here, but we have so much technology
We
that
do.
can extend to our friends and family and children, and we just don't remember that we won't always be here.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody's coming after us, and somebody needs to continue to carry the voice for your family.
That's awesome.
That's true. It's very important of especially for me to go ahead and start recently I wanted to go ahead and be serious about my writing, because of course I have so many ideas and I have so many projects that I want to do. It's just the point of, I guess, prioritizing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, because I want to do a book and I want to do a movie, but then again, I want to do a play. So I have all of this stuff in my brain, and I've already started writing on my movie, but now I'm stuck. So do I move on to another project to kind of, I guess, ease it on out, or do I just like stick with one main project?
Which idea did you get first?
That's kind of hard to say because, like you, I dream, and a lot of the stuff that I dream are in full motion. Like I've literally dreamed of full movies, or I've dreamed full plays or books or anything like that. But it's kind of hard to put what came first because sometimes I'll dream it all in one night, or I'll dream it in the same week, and I can't really figure it out.
Which one did you start penning first?
The movie.
Okay. When you say you're stuck, what do you mean? Stuck in the writing, like you don't know which direction to go yet?
Yes, because I had a visual. I had, no, not visual. I had a vision in regards to how I wanted my movie to go. But then I started thinking of other ways of how it can make sense or how it would be different in this industry, because you see so many movies run the same route
It's so
and
predictable.
very predictable. And I'm not one to be predictable. So I had another idea. So I started writing on that particular idea. And now I'm just like, you know what? I don't know what else to write. So that's
Okay.
what I'm at.
So so I got two answers for you.
Okay.
One, you could do the book first and let the book be the platform for the movie. Are they the same storyline?
No,
Okay.
they're
You
everything's
can
different.
you can use your book as a way to network. So you go into different, vending and Jamila said, I'd say go anywhere, women's conferences. Hey, I got a movie coming out. So that's when you let your movie be heard. Your book is already out. You can do it that way because the book is smaller and it's easier.
Mm,
So sometimes you do the easy thing first because it's easy. I can get it done. And I say it's easy because even though writing the movie may be just as easy, now you have the execution of the movie.
right.
You have to go hire all these people. You got to have practice. That's going to be a whole undertaking that's going to require all of you. Where writing the book, I don't feel like will take as much because there's not a lot of other people that you got to call. You don't have to act it out. You don't have to have practice. You don't have to
Right.
have cameras and all of that stuff. So for me, if you wanted to write at the same time, you're just going to go on dual responsibility, which is going to be a bigger sacrifice on your end. That means if I have 2 hours to write, 1 hour goes to the book, 1 hour goes to the movie.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay.
Just like we wash dishes and do dishes. I mean, we wash dishes and do laundry at the same time.
Okay.
Um, they can go on at the same time. The needle may not move as fast on both, but if I allot an hour each, then I balanced my time.
Okay, that
Thank you so
sounds
much for
good.
that.
You're welcome.
That sounds good. So we talked about a lot of stuff today. I just want to hit some points that I know we probably did already, but I want to pull them out of the conversation that we've had. How do you realize? Um, okay, so like she said, she has three different projects that's going on in her head. All three of them are different. How do you realize who your target audience is?
Come on, audience.
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 You know, Jamila from New York, honey.
Right.
All of a sudden.
New York, South Carolina.
Yep.
All
Um,
of a sudden.
ask me that question one more time.
How do you realize who your target audience is? Like what? So if you're going for these things, and of course you're talking about your experiences and your life, everything that's going on in your life, how do you figure out I guess which one to do first? Who is your target? Who are you trying
Okay.
to target first?
Like, are
I
you
would
saying that as far as like if your story is domestic violence, are you wanted to target that particular
You have
demographic or
right, you got
okay,
childhood trauma, which is,
right, right,
and then
okay.
you've grown up and now you're in a domestic violence situation. Maybe you've had a child pass away. How do you figure out what to do first? Who is your target audience first?
So two answers. One, they look like the old me.
Mm,
So anybody that is stuck in that transition from dealing with life on a immature level. And immature is not stupid. Immature
Right.
mm-hmm, right.
means I know better, but for some reason I'm not doing
I'm
better.
not exactly.
I know I should not call them back, but they feel so comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just afraid of that empty space in the bed at night. So I'm gonna just call somebody real quick.
Mm,
So when you're scrolling on social media, you'll see it all the time. Do you inbox them? No, but you'll know when your book comes out who to. Hey, I just wrote a book about this. It takes a lot of courage too. So but you were courageous when you was living a backslidden life. This should be easy.
mm-hmm.
So I love y'all. Y'all think y'all feel like Pastor. She just went left. Come on back because I we have a
It
lot of
is, hey,
courage
it is what it
when
is.
we live when we live in a backslidden life. We have a lot of courage. So just slide in their DM and let them know, hey, I just wrote a book about this. If you want to check it out, here it goes. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if they're already your friend, you can include them in the conversations. Like I used to just have conversations about, we'll use domestic violence because that is in my book. But I tell people I was going to stab my husband.
Mm,
He didn't know it, and I knew I wasn't going to really do it, but the thought came too many times, and I knew that if I did it, it wasn't going to be good. Like it wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna hide the body. I wasn't gonna hide the body. I was just gonna probably freak out and then call the police and tell them I did it. But we were fighting so much, and I was like, I did not get married for this. Like I am not a
Mm-hmm.
fighter. I'm 5 foot tall. Like I might look tall on here, but I'm not fighting anybody. But I was so angry that my life had came to that place. Yeah. What did I say?
Come on, Mike, look tall. No, you don't. You don't.
Y'all didn't look tall on here.
No, ma'am. Not at all.
So I knew that like
Well, all right.
so I knew that I wasn't in a good headspace. And that if I did not, and I had a daughter, I have a daughter. He has a daughter and a son, and I just was like, it's not what we want to show our kids. We're better than this. Something in between us is causing us to have these really nasty blow ups over the smallest things, and that's what will happen. Your triggers. So now I know all trigger is like a buzzword now, but 11 years ago, therapy for men was not being discussed. Heck, therapy for us wasn't being discussed. Um,
True.
go to church and fix it there. That's all I had all my life, and I was so angry that I chose to be there, but I didn't choose to be there. If you understand that, like I
mm-hmm.
didn't choose to marry someone who I would fight with.
Mm-hmm.
But when the fight showed up, I didn't know what to do other than fight because I was already so angry from my daddy leaving me when I was
Mm-hmm.
13. Or was it the man who molested me when I was 17? Or
Mm-hmm.
was it when I busted my knee and couldn't cheerlead anymore? And that was my happy place after my dad died? Or was it that I had a daughter at 20 when I said I would never have any kids outside of marriage? Or
Mm-hmm.
was it that the church said you're most sanctified if you get married and then you can have sex? But marry somebody crazy, and you're not gonna have sex anyway. So what made me angry? So
Right.
we gotta go back, 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 and dig up all the stuff I've been through so we can find one little root cause called abandonment, fear of abandonment.
Mm-hmm.
Had I not had the fear of abandonment, I wouldn't have cared who came and went because I'd be good. I'm a movement by myself.
Come on now.
Mm.
Of course, when we're together,
Mm.
I've been
Come
all
on
right.
now.
That's
I've been all right.
true.
It
That's
wasn't my
true.
fault, but as an adult, it is my responsibility to mitigate the loss in my life by dictating who comes and goes. I
Mm-hmm.
am the CEO of Brandy Hunt.
Okay.
What we used to say when we was kids, you are not the boss of me.
You are not the
Yeah.
boss of me.
Not a
And
problem.
while I do desire a husband, so husband, if you out there, I am good and healthy and whole and clean now. And so we
Come
thank God.
on now.
And
Yes.
I got a,
Amen.
I got a
Good,
little
good.
jokey
Healthy
joke.
and clean.
Amen.
I got a little jokey joke every once in a while, but I back it up if you tell me I'm doing too much. Um,
So as I consider you a GOAT in this game, I definitely do. Who
thank
do
you.
you consider your GOAT?
Oh man. So I'll say the lady who put me on the path to begin with. Her name is Rakisha Pittman. She's still doing great things. Um, I would say I don't know if y'all listen to Myron Golden.
Mm-mm.
He's amazing. Um, my mom,
Okay.
even though we had our hiccups and challenges,
Of
Of
course.
course.
Of course.
she be a walking red flag sometimes.
Mm.
Um, I'd be like, "Go on, lady." But watching her through the years, just try to navigate life with a diagnosis of depression since I've been 9 years old. I did not know this until I was 30.
Mm.
So a lot of our blow ups were because she had no feeling. I didn't know that. Now that I'm on this side as a therapist, I can see the signs and be like, "Oh, she's not doing good today." And I don't feel like it's my fault because that's
Mm.
what happens. We think, "Oh, she's not talking to me because she don't love me." Well, why did you talk to me like that? Because that's all they could muster up that day. And
Mm.
so my mom, and then I lost my sister, which y'all know I lost my sister 2 years ago.
Mhm.
So not only is my father gone, now she's also having to deal with the loss of a child, which talking to Jamila, I learned, a lot, through the books and things that I have to help people write or publish. And I was publishing her book the same year that I was having to help my mom like process.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, any parent that has to bury their child is the goat to me because that seems like a very unbearable pain.
Mhm. My goodness.
It is.
My goodness. Well, that's good. Thank you for that. And do you regret any avenues that you've taken business wise? Do you regret anything? Like, do you feel like anything has been a waste of time for you?
Uh-oh.
Well, as the old folks would say, if it don't come out in the rinse, the wash, it'll come out in the rinse. And having said that, do I have any regrets? Plenty. However, there are things that I do not care for and that I think I could have skipped that chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I should be married with my husband in the kitchen right now, cooking,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm doing my interview. And when I finish, we're going to have dinner together with our feet rubbing together like grasshoppers.
Okay.
However,
It's the simple things.
it really is.
The simple things.
I do not regret the path that I've had to go on because I do understand that in the by and by, I get better and better. Um, I do regret not saying yes sooner. I feel like maybe there were times that God was trying to get my attention and I was so hung up on whatever was going on, whatever drama I was trying to fix or whatever people I was trying to, chase down to love me more or better or at all. I do feel like there were times God was like, hey, sis, that's not the one anyway. Come this way.
Mhm.
So those types of things I do regret having stayed too long. But my one of my favorite scriptures is um all things work together for the good of those that love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. And I've known that I was called since I was young, called to do different things. I didn't really know I was called to the stage. You mentioned that earlier, like how did I know? I came from a singing family, so everybody sings. I just gave y'all a little I can hold I can hold a note, but I'm not holding it that long. Um, and so when they put a mic in my hand, I still cried. I cried when I sang. I cried when I talked. It was a
Mhm.
mic in my hand was not nothing I was going to be doing, and it took. Um, I went to. I failed public speaking in college,
I can
and
believe that.
Right.
um, I was over it. And I was like, I'm not a speaker. Like I just can't do it. I freeze up. Well, guess what happened when dealing with the hand I was dealt came out?
Had to beat it.
People started asking me to come and tell my story.
Mm.
And I
Mm.
went back and I was like, God, please don't do this to me. And he said, no, it's time. You cannot, this is a fear that you're not going to carry with you anymore. Yes, you're 5 foot tall, but you pack a mighty big word. And so I had to work through, and I had to work through all of those emotions and still, but being an actress felt normal. And so I feel like I'm just acting. I'm telling y'all the truth. Like it's not scripted necessarily.
Mhm.
Right.
I merged those two moments together. Like it's no different than standing up with a script. Create your own script. Now I've talked to y'all before, so of course, we know how to banter. And because I've been doing it long enough, I'm confident now. But when I started, I'd be fumbling papers. I'd be like, oh God, like
Mhm.
rooms be so quiet, so there's not like you don't get no feedback, and you're like, I hope what I'm saying is right. But it was the joy of knowing that showing up is half the battle. I tell people that all the time. When you walk off that stage and you gave it all you had, you practiced, you brought your papers, whatever you did, your confidence will build over time. So I knew I was called to the stage at an early age, and God kept cultivating it with things like dancing in front of people, acting. And I remember, you remember on Love and Basketball where the lady said, "Leaders lead from the front, not the back."
Oh yeah.
The remember about? Oh
uh-huh.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I do.
I think she said point guards. Point guards lead from the
Okay.
front, not the back. And that
Mhm.
kept ringing in my ear. God kept saying that to me, and I'm like, I'm not a leader. I'm well, I am. Yeah, I'm a trendsetter. Amen.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
but I was leading people not to church and stuff. I was backslider.
I'm so done.
We had
So
But
all
what we
here.
do in the world got transferred over, so it's
that is
okay.
correct. Yep. So now I still lead people. I just lead them in the right direction, on the right track, which is
The
the
right
name of my
track.
company. On the right track, because for so long I was on the wrong track, but I am on the right track. And
Come
if you
on
want to
now.
be on the right track, you can contact me and I will help you cross the finish line.
All
Come
right.
on, plug.
I like that. Well, thank you so much, Brandy, for being here. We definitely want to end this with our little segment called This or That.
Yeah.
Oh, fun.
So it's not really a deep dive this week, but it's just some little surface things that I heard you put out there earlier that you're still looking for your husband. So if he's watching, I just want him to know a little bit more about you. Right?
Well,
So I'm going to give you
ready.
I'm going to give you a choice, and you're only going to pick one choice, but you're going to expound on that choice just a little bit of why you would pick that, right?
All right.
All right. So here we go. And and this is what I was saying that we put a pin in earlier. So now we're back.
We're back.
Good job.
And so I already know your answer, but we're going to ask you anyway. And that is the beach or the mountains?
The beach.
The beach. And that was because you have that full dream of having your house on the beach.
On the beach.
Yes. And I want to walk on the beach and with our toes in the sand and, you know, kiss under the stars and the moonlight and hold hands on the beach. I'm a romantic at heart. Yeah. And so that's what it is.
There it is. I'm there. I want that. I am a hopeless romantic. I really am.
Good for you.
All right. Would you rather take an airplane ride for 1 hour or drive for 4?
With who?
With a significant other.
Drive for 4.
Drive for 4.
Unless it's first class, then I'll take the hour.
And you would,
but you won't spend that much time in first class.
No. So why would you rather drive for 4 unless it's first class? But you can't do that. It's one or the other.
Okay, then I'm gonna go with drive for 4.
Okay. And why is that?
Because we can get to know each other. I'm gonna say in this scenario, we not been married for years. And so let's just say, you know, because we work so hard, we really don't get a lot of, you know, that long of a time together. And it's a lot of hustle and bustle at airports. Mm-hmm. And so we can spend that time together, holding hands over the console, or if he got a truck, I can be up under his arm.
The shoulders.
You know, we could we could stop at the little pit stops and stuff on the way, and just kind of like, to me, like with a car, you can jump out and jump in whenever you want to, and then it's a whole experience versus just that airport. I do that for a living, so no thank you. So yes, I'll take the 4-hour drive to the beach.
Okay. So next we have, this is a choice of 3. One of 3. Girls trip, solo trip, or vacation?
Oh, this is not my game.
And this is my bay of choice?
Yes.
Okay, vacation.
Okay.
I didn't solo and girls trip enough.
I know that's right.
Vacation me, please.
You're a little angry.
I'm out. I'm ready for my vacation.
Same.
All right.
I'm ready for a solo.
Stay in or go out?
And this is again with another individual and me.
Mm-hmm.
Stay in.
Okay. Why?
Again, it's that I think the doing all the things, you really don't get to be with your person.
Yeah.
Do all the stuff, which is fun. But like at the house, we can cook and we can do the paint thing at the house, and we got paint and sip. And you know, we can keep sipping and
we do the meal in the house.
Right.
Yeah, we can do appetizers and the meal, and then we can have dessert with a movie. And I think just at the house you have like a plethora of things you can still do to have fun. Going out, just it's a lot of hustle and bustle.
Right. Okay, and last but not least, sneakers.
I already know this one. I can answer it for her.
Sneakers or heels?
Heels.
I ain't never seen Brandy in those tinted shoes.
I have one pair of tennis shoes that I've had for a year and a half. But I do know that my future bae will buy me tennis shoes because we're gonna have on matching tennis shoes.
You know what? Cute. I know that's right. Come on now.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank y'all. Thank you
That
so
was
much.
Thank you so
amazing.
much, Brandy. Let the people know where they can find you and reach out to you for your publishing, writing,
All of the good
leadership,
stuff.
coaching needs, everything.
Absolutely.
Therapy,
Again,
prayer, prophecy.
I got
Listen.
all of it. I got all of it. So of course, my name is Brandy Hunt, the extraordinaire. You will find me on all social media platforms. I couldn't look at y'all face. You will find me on all social media platforms at author Brandy Hunt, and on TikTok I am Dr. Brandy Hunt. You can go to my website, which is Diverse Destiny Solutions. So that's DIVERSE DESTINY Solutions.com. And you can schedule a consultation there. Or, of course, you can email me at publishPUBLISHU00 at gmail.com.
And after this, all of this information will definitely be put into the comments. So
Yes.
you guys don't have to stop and pause. And it's going to be put
It's
into the
gonna
comments.
be
You just
in
click a
there.
button and you're going to get right to
Right,
it.
right.
Thank you so much, Brandy.
Thank
So, Brandy,
you.
with all the information that you have given us, shared with us, please leave us with I'm gonna guess inspirational quote, anything for our listeners, for us to end our podcast today.
Okay, nobody had any questions?
No questions
No
today.
questions today.
Good. I try to be as thorough as possible. So my inspiration for the day will be: your voice deserves to be heard, regardless of who agrees or disagrees with you. Tell your story, because your story does matter. It doesn't matter if you know who it matters to or not. It matters that you get it out there, because we can do nothing with a story still in your head and in your heart.
Come on now.
Matters. All right.
Come on
Thank
now.
you so much. That was awesome.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
all
much.
for joining us.
Thank you.
Via my page, via Big Girl Talk, Instagram, Christine's Facebook page. We had a whole lot going on
Yeah, we did.
over here.
We got some good
Everybody got to
information.
hear. If not, you'll be able to actually go on YouTube when we upload the video. Big Girl Talk 23. You can see all of our videos there, including this one with all of Brandy's information.
Yes.
You guys, please get in touch with her. She is the go amazing. We appreciate you, Brandy. Thank you so much. We hope you all have a great rest of your day.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.